My name is Specialist Tariq Hassan, U.S. Army, 31st Chemical Brigade. Service number 4-258-89147. I'm recording this at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, on November 3rd, 2024. What I'm about to describe happened between August 15th and September 22nd, 2024, at Installation Delta 7, located 47 miles northwest of Topeka, Kansas. I need to be clear about something first. When they assigned me to Delta 7, my clearance paperwork said nuclear material security. The briefing mentioned strategic asset protection. Even the transport manifest listed our destination as Hardened Nuclear Storage Facility 7. They lied. Delta 7 isn't a weapons depot. It's not storing warheads or uranium. What's down there in that 1,000-acre underground complex is worse than any bomb we've ever built. I was part of a 6-person chemical response team dispatched for what command called a routine contamination assessment. Sergeant First Class Rodriguez led our unit. We had Corporal Park on detection equipment, Private First Class Washington handling decon, Specialist Kalinsky on documentation, and Private Okoye managing air quality systems. Me, I ran the biological hazard protocols. The elevator ride down took 11 minutes. 11 minutes straight down at 2 meters per second. Do the math. That puts the main level at 1,320 meters below surface. Deeper than most coal mines. The pressure made my ears pop 3 times. When those doors opened, we stepped into a corridor that stretched beyond our tactical lights. The walls were seamless concrete, no joints or seams visible. The air tasted recycled, metallic. Our dosimeters stayed quiet. No radiation. But something else made my skin crawl. The silence. You know how military installations sound. Ventilation systems humming, boots on concrete, radio chatter, equipment cycling. Down there, nothing. Just our own breathing echoing back at us through the recycled air. Rodriguez checked his tablet. Sector 7G for initial assessment. Biohazard indicators triggered at 0347 hours. We moved in standard formation down the main corridor. Every 100 meters we passed blast doors. Not the nuclear kind with radiation symbols, but something else. White doors with blue hexagons, biosecurity markers. Each door had a small window, and through the reinforced glass, I could see rows of beds, hospital beds, hundreds of them in each room. The beds weren't empty. "Sir," I said, keeping my voice level, "this isn't a storage facility." Rodriguez didn't answer. He just kept walking, following the coordinates on his screen. But I saw his hand move to his sidearm. That's when we heard it. A sound like breathing, but not quite. Too synchronized, too mechanical. Coming from everywhere at once. The briefing was wrong about something else, too. They said the facility held strategic materials vital to national security. They were half right. It did hold something vital. It held 12,000 American citizens, and they were all still breathing. I'd been with the 31st Chemical Brigade for 6 years. Fort Leonard Wood was home. Before that, 2 tours in Afghanistan working CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear defense. I'd seen nerve agent victims in Syria, cleaned up after white phosphorus in Mosul, even worked the anthrax scare at the Pentagon in 2021. None of that prepared me for Delta 7. Our team assembled in the main elevator lobby at 0600 hours. Rodriguez had 22 years in, most of it in biohazard response. His left eye twitched when he was nervous, an old tell from his time in Iraq. That morning, it was going like a strobe light. "Listen up," he said, voice steady despite the eye. "We're looking at possible contamination in Sector 7G. Biosensors triggered last night. Could be a false positive from the ventilation systems. Could be a seal breach. We go by the book. Full Level A suits once we're past the 3rd checkpoint. Level A meant the moon suits. self-contained breathing apparatus, fully encapsulated. The kind you wear when you don't know what you're walking into. Corporal Park raised her hand. She was our tech specialist, fresh from biodefense school at Fort Detrick. Sergeant, what kind of materials are stored in 7G? Rodriguez glanced at his tablet. Classified biological samples, research materials, nothing weaponized. Another lie, but we didn't know that yet. The facility blueprint on Rodriguez's tablet showed a perfect grid. Delta 7 was built like a honeycomb, hexagonal sections spreading out from a central hub. Each section had its own ventilation, power, and containment systems. Smart design. If one section failed, the others stayed sealed. We descended past marker after marker, minus 100 meters, minus 300, minus 500. My ears kept popping. Private Washington, barely 19 and on his first real deployment, was swallowing hard every few seconds. "You good, Washington?" I asked. He nodded, jaw tight. Kid was scared, but holding it together. At minus 800 meters, we hit the first checkpoint. Automated systems scanned our badges, ran biometric confirmation. A recorded voice, female, pleasant. "Welcome to Installation Delta 7. Please proceed to Decontamination Bay Alpha." The decon bay was standard military design, white tile, overhead sprayers, UV lights. We suited up in silence. The Level A suits were heavy, about 40 pounds with the air tank. The face mask narrowed your vision to a small window. Every breath echoed in your ears. Park ran diagnostics on her detection equipment. Air quality nominal, no chemical signatures. Biological sensors are weird. Define weird, Rodriguez said. I'm getting protein markers, lots of them, but they're not matching any database patterns. We moved deeper into the facility. The corridors were wide enough for vehicles, lit by LED strips that gave everything a blue-white tinge. Every 50 meters, we passed those white doors with blue hexagons. The windows showed the same thing, rows of beds, bodies under white sheets, chest rising and falling in perfect unison. "How many people are down here?" Okoye asked. His voice crackled through the suit radio. Rodriguez didn't answer. At the entrance to Sector 7G, we found our first real sign of trouble. The biosecurity door stood open. Not forced, properly opened with the right codes. But the protocol board next to it showed red across every indicator. Containment breach, Kalinsky read off his tablet. Logged at 0347, no response team dispatched. Why not? Washington asked. Good question. A containment breach should have triggered immediate lockdown, alarms, response teams. Instead, the facility stayed quiet except for that synchronized breathing sound growing louder as we moved deeper. The corridor beyond the door was different, newer. The concrete looked fresh, still showing form marks. Construction dust floated in our lights. This section isn't on the blueprint, Park said. Rodriguez stopped. Say again? 7G shows as a standard storage sector. 1,000 square meters. But this, she turned, sensor sweeping. This is new construction, recent. That's when I noticed the smell. Even through the suit filters, something was getting through. Sweet, organic, like overripe fruit. We found the first body 50 meters in. Not dead. That would have been easier to process. The man lay on the floor in civilian clothes, jeans, t-shirt, sneakers, Asian features, maybe 30 years old. His eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. His chest rose and fell with that same mechanical rhythm. Park scanned him. He's alive. Vitals are slow. Heartbeat at 30 beats per minute. Body temperature at 94 degrees. Brain activity is... She stopped. Park? He's conscious. Full brain activity. He's awake in there. I knelt beside him, waved my hand over his eyes. No response, no blink. but when I looked closer, I saw tears. Fresh tears rolling down his face. Washington backed away. What the hell is this place? We found more as we went deeper. Men, women, some teenagers, all in civilian clothes, all breathing in that same rhythm, all with tears on their faces. They lay where they'd fallen, in doorways, against walls, some still holding tools, construction tools. They were building, I said. They were expanding the facility. Rodriguez was photographing everything, uploading to command, or trying to. Comms are down, can't get a signal out. The new section ended at another biosecurity door. This one was sealed. Through the window, we could see more corridors stretching away, more bodies. But these were moving, not walking. Not exactly, more like shuffling, dragging themselves forward in that same synchronized rhythm, all moving in the same direction. Their faces showed the same aware, terrified eyes. We're leaving, Rodriguez said. Now. But when we turned back, the corridor had changed. Where we'd entered through one door, now there were three. Identical. No markings. Which way? Washington's voice pitched high. Park checked her equipment. I'm getting magnetic interference. Compass is spinning. The breathing sound grew louder, closer. Down one of the corridors, shadows moved in that same rhythm. Middle door, Rodriguez decided. Move. We ran. Level A suits aren't made for running. Every step was clumsy, heavy. Behind us, the shuffling sounds multiplied. Not chasing, just following. Always at the same pace. The door led to stairs going up. We climbed. 1 flight, 2, 3. My air gauge showed 60%. We'd been down here less than an hour, but the panic breathing was eating through our supply. The stairs ended at another door. Rodriguez tried his access code. Nothing. Tried again. The pad stayed red. Sir, Park said, look at this. She was scanning the door. The metal showed marks, scratches, like someone had clawed at it from the inside. And there was something else. A message carved deep into the steel. They make us build. They make us sleep. 2019. Wuhan not SARS. Below that, in fresher scratches, we are awake. Rodriguez tried the door 12 times. Each attempt made the same soft beep. Denied. The scratched message stared at us. 2019, Wuhan. My mind kept circling back to news reports from that time. The early pandemic, the wet market theory, but this suggested something else. Air at 40%, Washington reported. We had maybe 30 minutes. Less if we kept breathing hard. The shuffling sounds below stopped. Just stopped. The silence was worse than the noise. Park swept her sensor down the stairwell. No movement, but the protein signatures are off the charts. Rodriguez made a decision. We go back down, find another route. Nobody wanted to go back down, but suffocating in a stairwell wasn't better. We descended slowly. Me on point, rifle raised. The M4 felt useless against whatever was down here, but holding it helped. 3 flights down, we reached the landing where we'd entered. The corridor beyond was empty. No bodies, no shuffling figures, just empty. Where did they go? Okoye whispered. I stepped out first, scanning left and right. The construction dust we'd stirred up earlier had settled. Our boot prints were still visible, but the bodies, the crying, paralyzed people, gone. Park's equipment started clicking. Movement, Sector 7F, about 200 meters west. We followed the main corridor, checking every door. All sealed, all showing green on their status panels. Normal. Except for the breathing sound that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Sector 7F's door was open like 7G had been, but this section was older, part of the original construction. The concrete was gray, not white. The lights dimmer. We found them in a storage bay the size of an aircraft hangar. Thousands, all standing in perfect rows. Men, women, teenagers. Different races, different clothes, but all with the same blank expression, all breathing in unison. Their eyes tracked us as we entered, but nothing else moved. Jesus Christ, Washington breathed. In the center of the bay, they'd built something. A structure made from salvaged materials, metal sheeting, pipes, concrete blocks. It looked organic somehow, like a growth, like a tumor. Rodriguez approached the nearest person, a middle-aged woman in hospital scrubs. He waved his hand in front of her face. Her eyes followed the movement, but her body stayed rigid. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Tears leaked from her eyes, fresh ones, like the man we'd found earlier. Then her mouth opened, not to speak, just opened, wide, wider than should be possible. No sound came out, but her throat convulsed like she was screaming. Every mouth in the bay opened the same way, thousands of silent screams. Park's equipment went haywire. Electromagnetic spike. Something's... The lights cut out. Emergency lighting kicked in a second later, bathing everything in red. The people hadn't moved, but something had changed. Their eyes no longer looked human. The pupils had dilated completely, turning their eyes black. "Back to the door," Rodriguez ordered. We moved in formation, weapons up. The people, could we still call them people? Didn't follow. They just stood there with those black eyes and gaping mouths. At the door, Rodriguez tried his access code. Nothing. "We're locked in," he said, voice controlled. That's when they started building. It happened fast. Too fast. They moved like a single organism, grabbing materials from the walls, the floor, anything loose. Their movements were jerky, unnatural, but perfectly coordinated. A man ripped a pipe from the wall with strength that should have been impossible. A teenager pulled up floor tiles with her bare hands, fingernails breaking, blood flowing, no reaction on her face. They were adding to the structure in the center, building it higher, more complex. "What are they making?" Kolinsky asked. I knew. Somehow looking at that organic-shaped construction, I knew. "A nest," I said. "They're making a nest." Washington's air alarm beeped. 20%. The builders ignored us. We might as well have been furniture. They worked in silence except for the sound of tearing metal and cracking concrete. The structure grew before our eyes, taking shape. Chambers, passages, like the inside of something alive. Rodriguez tried the door again, then shot the lock. The bullets sparked off hardened steel. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space, but the builders didn't even flinch. "The walls," Park said. "Try the walls." The concrete was 2 feet thick. Our small arms wouldn't dent it. But Okoye had demo charges. Protocol said no explosives in a potential biocontainment situation. Protocol assumed we had other options. Small charge, Rodriguez decided. Just enough to crack it. Okoye placed the charge while we formed a defensive line. The builders kept working. One woman walked past Washington, close enough to touch. Her shoulder was dislocated from pulling on a beam, the arm hanging wrong. She didn't seem to notice. "Fire in the hole," Okoye called. We took cover. The explosion was smaller than expected, but in the enclosed space it hit like a sledgehammer. My ears rang despite the helmet. The wall showed a crack. Not much, but maybe enough. That's when the builders stopped. All of them. Frozen mid-motion. Tools raised, materials in hand. All those black eyes turned toward us. "Move," Rodriguez said. "Now." We ran for the crack. Washington went first, skinny enough to squeeze through. Then Park. The builders didn't chase. They walked. That same synchronized shuffle, but purposeful now, heading our way. I pushed Kolinsky through, then Okoye. Rodriguez waved me ahead. "Go!" I squeezed into the crack. Concrete scraped my air tank. For a moment I stuck, caught between walls. Behind me, Rodriguez fired 3 round bursts. The shots barely slowed them. I popped through, stumbled, helped pull Rodriguez after me. We were in another corridor, older section, a maintenance tunnel by the look of it. "Which way?" Park asked. Rodriguez checked his tablet. Finally, some luck. We had GPS again. "North. Should hit the main shaft in 300 meters." We ran. Behind us, hands started coming through the crack. Too many hands. The concrete began to crumble under the pressure. They were widening it. Coming through. My air gauge hit 15%. The low oxygen alarm joined Washington's. The maintenance tunnel ended at a heavy door marked "Authorized Personnel Only." Rodriguez's code worked this time. We spilled through into a wider corridor. Clean, bright, normal. "Elevator bank should be..." He stopped. We all stopped. The corridor was full of beds, hospital beds lined up against both walls, and in each bed, a person, breathing in that rhythm, eyes open, aware, crying. But these wore military uniforms. Army, Air Force, Marines. I recognized one. Sergeant Powell from the 42nd Infantry. He'd been at Fort Leonard Wood until... when? 3 months ago? Transferred to a classified posting. Now he was here. Tears streaming down his frozen face. Above each bed, mounted on the wall, was a plaque. Name, rank, date of arrival. The dates went back 5 years. 5 years of military personnel. Transferred here, trapped here. Rodriguez's eye wasn't twitching anymore. He looked defeated. Command knows. They've always known. From behind us, the sound of concrete falling. They were through. Washington's air ran out first. He dropped to his knees, clawing at his mask. I shared my remaining air, buddy breathing, but I was down to 8%. "There," Park pointed. "Service ladder. 50 meters away. A yellow ladder in a mesh cage. Going up." We dragged Washington between us. The shuffling grew louder, closer. I didn't look back. At the ladder, Rodriguez boosted Washington up. "Climb, don't stop." One by one, we went up. My air hit 0 at 20 meters. I held my breath, climbed. Black spots danced in my vision. Above, a hatch. Okoye was pounding on it, locked from outside. Below, the first of them reached the ladder. They started to climb. My lungs burned, no air left. Black spots exploding across my vision. Below us, they climbed. Not fast, but steady. Always that same rhythm. Okoye gave up on the hatch, pulled out his sidearm instead, put 3 rounds into the lock. The metal sparked, bent. On the 4th shot, it gave. Fresh air hit like cold water. We scrambled through, gasping. Washington wasn't moving. I started chest compressions while Park checked for a pulse. Nothing, nothing. Then a cough. Water and bile came up through his mask. "Seal it," Rodriguez croaked. Okoye and Kalinsky slammed the hatch shut. No lock on this side. They sat on it, using body weight. Through the metal, we could hear them reaching the top. The hatch jumped, once, twice, then nothing. We were in a utility room, pumps, pipes, a wall of electrical panels. My watch showed we'd been underground for 3 hours. Felt like 3 days. "Masks off," Rodriguez ordered. The air tasted like machine oil and dust, but it was real air. Washington lay on his side, breathing shallow but breathing. Rodriguez tried his radio. Static. Tried his satellite phone. No signal. We were still too deep. "We need to move," he said. "Find another way up." But Park was studying her scanner. "Wait. Look at this." She showed us the screen, the protein signatures we'd been tracking. They formed a pattern. Not random. A network spreading through the entire facility. "It's like a root system," she said. "All connected, all growing from one source." "Where?" Rodriguez asked. She pointed down. "Sublevel 12, Section Alpha 1. Rodriguez pulled up facility schematics on his tablet. Most sections showed standard labels: storage, maintenance, administration. But Alpha 1 was different. No label. Just restricted access markers and a construction date. October 2019. That's when this started, I said. Whatever happened in China, they brought it here. Rodriguez's jaw went tight. We're not going deeper. We're finding command, reporting this. With what proof? Kalinsky asked. Our cameras are fried, comms are down. You think they'll believe us? He was right. 6 soldiers claiming 12,000 Americans were trapped underground, building nests. They'd throw us in psychiatric evaluation. The files, Park said. There have to be records, medical data, transfer orders, something. Rodriguez weighed options, finally nodded. 20 minutes, we find evidence, then we leave. The utility room connected to a maintenance corridor. This one had working lights and clean air. We found an office section 2 levels up, abandoned, but the computers were still on. Park went to work. Military systems need authentication, but she had ways around that. While she worked, I kept watch with Okoye. Rodriguez tended to Washington, who was conscious, but weak. Got something, Park announced. We gathered around the screen. She'd found archived emails, official correspondence between Fort Detrick and here. The subject lines were vague. Sample transfer, test results, containment protocol. But the dates matched. She opened one from November 2019. Initial exposure group showing expected symptoms. Hibernation state achieved at 72 hours post-infection. Neural activity remains at full capacity. Subjects appear aware but unable to control motor functions. Recommend expanding test parameters. Another from December. Construction behavior noted in 30% of subjects. They appear to be following some kind of biological imperative. Building structures resembling organic growth patterns. Purpose unknown. Requesting additional subjects for observation. January 2020. Subjects in hibernation can be activated through proximity to newly infected individuals. Once activated, they engage in complex construction behaviors. Structures show biomimetic properties, possible applications for military engineering, project upgraded to Priority 1. Washington made a sound, not quite words. He was staring at the screen, tears running down his face like the people in the beds. Check him, Rodriguez ordered. I ran a field medical exam. Pulse normal, temperature normal, but his pupils were starting to dilate. He's infected, Park said quietly. Must have happened when his air ran out. Breathed in whatever's down here. Washington tried to speak. His mouth moved. No sound. His hand reached for his sidearm, not to draw it, to push it toward us. He knew what was happening to him. Rodriguez made the hard choice. Restrain him. We'll get him topside. Find treatment. But we all knew there was no treatment. 5 years of military personnel down here proved that. Park kept digging through files, found video logs. The first one showed a sterile medical facility. A doctor in full protective gear addressing the camera. Date, November 15th, 2019. This is Dr. Elizabeth Chin, Fort Detrick, recording initial observations of sample Wuhan 7. The specimen was acquired through back channels from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Our contacts report an incident during gain-of-function research on SARS-related coronaviruses. This particular strain shows unprecedented ability to alter host behavior while maintaining host consciousness. The video shifted to show a test chamber. Inside, a woman in a hospital gown stood perfectly still. The doctor continued. Subject 1 was exposed 6 days ago. Entered hibernation state at 72 hours as expected. Watch this. Another person was brought into the chamber. The moment they entered, the motionless woman's head snapped toward them. Her mouth opened in that silent scream we'd seen. Then she began moving, not walking. That shuffling motion. She went to the wall and started clawing at it. Her fingers bled. Nails broke. She kept clawing. The subject is attempting to create an opening. We believe this is an attempt to spread the pathogen. Note that brain scans show the subject is fully conscious throughout. They are aware of their actions, but unable to stop them. The video cut to a later date. Same doctor, but she looked exhausted. December 20th. The construction behavior is escalating. Subjects are building complex structures that seem to serve as incubation chambers. We've identified specialized cells in the infected tissue that respond to environmental stimuli. The pathogen is using human hosts as builders, creating optimal environments for itself. Another cut. The doctor was gone. A military officer faced the camera. Colonel Marcus Webb, assuming command of Project Lazarus. Dr. Chen exhibited early-stage symptoms and has been moved to containment. This pathogen represents a clear bioweapon threat. Our mandate is to study and develop countermeasures. We're relocating operations to Installation Delta 7 for enhanced containment. The final video was dated 3 months ago. Different officer. General Stars. Containment has failed at multiple levels. The infected now number over 10,000. They've expanded the facility beyond original parameters. Recommendation: seal Delta 7 permanently, cover story in place, nuclear storage facility, no one will question it. But they hadn't sealed it. They kept sending people down. There's more, Park said. Found a folder labeled Expansion Protocols. Inside were architectural plans. The infected weren't building randomly. They were following blueprints. Actual blueprints that someone had created. The structures they built were designed to maximize airflow, to spread spores. They're weaponizing them, I said, using the infected as biological factories. Rodriguez was pale. We need to go, now. But Park had found something else. Transfer orders, recent ones. A full battalion was scheduled to arrive next week. 800 soldiers. Routine training exercise. 800 more victims. Washington's breathing had changed, slower, deeper, synchronized with something we couldn't hear. His eyes were fully black now. We zip-tied his hands and feet. Kalinsky and Okoye carried him between them. No one said what we were all thinking, that we might all be infected, that it might already be too late. The route to the surface was clear at first. We made it up 4 levels before hitting the first checkpoint. Automated systems. Should have opened for our badges. Access denied. They know we're here, Rodriguez said. From below, an alarm started. Not loud. A low pulse that seemed to vibrate through the concrete. The lights flickered. Emergency protocols activating. Then the doors started opening. All of them. Every biosecurity door in our section. We could hear them through the walls. Thousands of footsteps. All moving in the same rhythm. All coming our way. We ran. The corridors became a maze. Every turn looked the same. White walls, blue lights. The sound of synchronized footsteps growing closer from every direction. Rodriguez led us through a service door into the industrial section. Massive pipes ran overhead. Steam hissed from valves. The temperature jumped 20 degrees. Through here, he pointed to a maintenance shaft. We crawled, single file. Washington's body dragging between Kalinsky and Okoye made progress slow. The shaft was tight, hot. Behind us, metal groaned. They were following. Too many bodies pressing into a space not meant for them. The shaft opened into the facility's power generation center. Diesel generators the size of houses. The noise was deafening, a constant mechanical roar that drowned out everything else. But we could still feel them coming. Vibrations through the floor, through the walls. Park checked her scanner. The protein signatures were everywhere now. The air itself was thick with spores. We'd been breathing it for hours. There, Rodriguez pointed. An emergency exit. Old style. Push bar door with alarm will sound printed across it. Rodriguez hit the bar. No alarm. The door had been disabled. It opened into a cavern, not a room, not a constructed space, a natural cave system that the facility had been built around, or into. The ceiling disappeared into darkness above us. The walls stretched out beyond our lights, and it was full of them. Thousands, tens of thousands, all standing in formation, all breathing together. The sound echoed off the cave walls until it became something physical, something you could feel in your chest. But that wasn't the worst part. In the center of the cavern, they'd built their masterpiece, a structure that hurt to look at. Organic curves that shouldn't exist in concrete and steel. Chambers within chambers. Passages that seemed to fold in on themselves. It was 40 meters tall, maybe more, and it was breathing. The structure itself was breathing. "Mother of God," Okoye whispered. As we watched, people emerged from openings in the structure. But they moved differently, smoother, more coordinated. Their eyes weren't just black, they reflected our lights like mirrors. These were the builders, the architects. Whatever the pathogen had become, it was using them to create something. "We go around," Rodriguez decided. "Stay to the walls, find another exit." We moved slowly. The infected ignored us at first, too focused on their work. They carried materials into the structure, metal beams, concrete blocks, but also organic matter, dead rats, birds, anything that had been alive. Washington convulsed. His body went rigid. When his eyes opened, they were mirror bright. He stood up. The zip ties snapped like thread. Kalinsky reached for him. "Washington, buddy." Washington's hand moved faster than human reflexes should allow, grabbed Kalinsky's wrist. The crack of breaking bone echoed even over the generator noise. Kalinsky screamed. Washington tilted his head, studying. Then his mouth opened, not to bite, to breathe. A cloud of spores puffed out, directly into Kalinsky's face. Rodriguez put 2 rounds center mass. Washington dropped, but Kalinsky was already changing, pupils dilating, breathing syncing up with the thousands around us. "Run," Rodriguez said. We left them, had to. Kalinsky was already shuffling toward the structure. Washington's body lay still, but I swear I saw his fingers twitch as we passed. The cavern seemed endless. Our lights only reached so far. Beyond that, darkness full of breathing sounds and shuffling feet. Park kept checking her scanner, trying to find a path through. "Wait," she said. "I'm picking up something different. Electronic signals, coming from inside the structure." "Don't care," Rodriguez said. "It's military frequencies, encrypted data streams. They're transmitting something." I understood first. They're learning, using the infected to access memories, military codes, classified information. Every person down here had security clearance, had training, had knowledge, and now the pathogen had it all. We reached the far wall, found another maintenance door, locked, but Okoye still had date cord. The explosion was small, but the sound was massive in the cavern. Every head turned our way, thousands of mirror eyes reflecting our lights. They didn't run, they walked, all of them, toward us. The door led to stairs. We climbed. Behind us, the shuffling became a roar. So many feet on metal steps. The stairwell shook. 10 flights, 15. My legs burned. Okoye was falling behind, carrying extra gear. Rodriguez grabbed half his load. "Leave it," Okoye gasped. "Not the charges," Rodriguez said. "Might need them." 20 flights. A door marked sub-level 2. Almost surface level. Rodriguez's code worked. We spilled through into a loading dock, concrete ramps leading up, daylight visible through vehicle gates. The gates were welded shut. "Demo," Rodriguez ordered. Okoye placed charges while we watched the door. The first infected appeared. Didn't attack, just stood there, watching, more crowded behind, filling the stairwell. "Fire in the hole!" The explosion tore through the gates. Daylight poured in, real sunlight. We ran for it and stopped. The surface was wrong. Where there should have been Kansas prairie, there were structures. the same organic-looking constructions we'd seen below. But these were complete, finished. They rose from the ground like massive fungi, 60 meters tall. Spore clouds drifted between them on the wind. The entire landscape had been transformed. "How long?" Park asked. "How long were we really down there?" Her scanner showed the date. Same day. We'd only been underground 8 hours, but this would have taken months to build, years. Unless they'd been building for years. Unless the facility wasn't containing them. It was hiding them. A sound behind us. Not footsteps. Voices. Delta 7 to command. We have the survey team. 5 survivors, requesting immediate extraction. Soldiers. Full hazmat gear. M4 rifles. American flags on their shoulders. "Thank God," Okoye said, but Rodriguez raised his weapon. "Stay back." The lead soldier tilted his head. "Sir, we are here to help." "Take off your mask," Rodriguez ordered. "Sir, we're in a contaminated zone. Protocol requires, take off your mask." The soldier reached up, removed his gas mask. Mirror eyes, black veins spreading across his face, but still talking in a perfect military cadence. "Sir, you need to come with us. Decontamination protocols require immediate processing." They weren't rescue. They were collectors, gathering anyone who'd seen too much. Rodriguez made a command decision. "Park. Upload everything. Now." She pulled out her emergency beacon, satellite uplink, started transmitting all the data we'd collected. The infected soldiers raised their weapons. Cease transmission immediately. "Light them up," Rodriguez ordered. We opened fire. Full auto. The infected soldiers took rounds without flinching, kept walking forward. Only headshots dropped them, and even then, I saw fingers still moving, still trying to complete their mission. Park's beacon showed upload complete. Somewhere, someone would receive those files. The videos. The truth. More infected emerged from the structures. Hundreds, all in military gear. How many bases had been compromised? How many units converted? "The charges," Rodriguez said. "All of them." Okoye understood, started pulling date cord, C4, everything we had. "That won't stop them," I said. "Not trying to stop them," Rodriguez said. "Trying to mark our position, make some noise, maybe someone sees, maybe someone asks questions." The infected formed a circle around us, not attacking, just waiting. They knew we were already infected, knew it was just a matter of time. Rodriguez looked at what was left of us, me, Park, Okoye. His eye was twitching again. "Been an honor," he said. The explosion would be visible for miles, would register on seismographs, would demand investigation. But as Okoye reached for the detonator, I saw his hand trembling, not from fear, from the infection, his pupils starting to dilate. Park saw it too. Her scanner showed the proteins in our blood, all of us. We had hours, maybe less. "Sir," I said, "we're already gone." Rodriguez nodded slowly. "Then we make it count." He took the detonator from Okoye's shaking hand. The infected moved closer, their mouths opening, that synchronized breathing getting louder, the structures around us pulsing in the same rhythm. "Hassan," Rodriguez said, "you were recording?" I touched the camera on my helmet, still running, everything documented. "Good," he said. "Someone needs to know." The infected stopped, waiting. They knew what was coming. Rodriguez pulled the detonator. "Delta 7, this is Sergeant First Class Rodriguez. Final report. Installation compromised. Pathogen is weaponized. Do not send retrieval. Repeat, do not..." His words cut off, not from the explosion, from his mouth opening in a silent scream. The detonator fell from nerveless fingers. I tried to reach for it. My hand wouldn't move. My body was no longer mine, but my eyes still worked. My mind still worked. I was aware, completely aware. As my body turned and began walking toward the structure, as I joined the builders, As I became part of something vast and hungry and patient, the camera kept recording. I write this 18 months later. My hands move when they let them move. My eyes see what they allow me to see, but my mind remains my own. Trapped, watching. The camera recorded everything. After Rodriguez failed to detonate the charges, our bodies walked in perfect formation to the central structure. Inside was worse than any nightmare. Chambers filled with the infected, standing shoulder to shoulder, breathing together, building together. A single organism with 12,000 minds screaming in silence. They made us work. My hands, not mine anymore, welded metal, mixed concrete, built expansions deeper and wider. The structure grew, always grew, fed by new arrivals. The rescue teams came 6 hours after we entered. 3 helicopters, full hazmat protocols. They landed outside the transformed zone, set up decontamination tents, standard procedure for a chemical leak. They had no idea. I watched through my own eyes as the first team entered. 12 soldiers, well-trained, careful. They made it 40 meters before the spores got through their filters, before their eyes went wide with understanding, before they joined us. The second team saw what happened, tried to fall back, but we were already moving. Hundreds of us in military gear, walking out of the structures, speaking in their radio frequencies, using their call signs, their protocols. Area secure. First team is processing survivors. Send in medical. Lies in familiar voices. The pathogen learning, adapting, using our knowledge. The medical team never had a chance. By nightfall, 68 new workers joined the construction. By morning, the response base was empty. Abandoned equipment, empty helicopters, all personnel absorbed. They tried different approaches over the following weeks. Robot reconnaissance, drone strikes, chemical weapons. Nothing worked. The structures were too deep, too protected, and we kept building, kept expanding. The camera recorded it all. Every new arrival, every failed attempt, every person who joined our silent army. 3 months in, construction reached a new phase. We weren't just building shelters anymore. We were building launch systems, spore dispensers. The infected with engineering knowledge designed them. Those with military knowledge planned deployment patterns. All of us built. I remember the day they tried the nuclear option. B-2 bomber, 20 kiloton yield. Should have vaporized everything in a half-mile radius. The structure absorbed it. I don't understand the physics, but the organic concrete we'd been building was different. It fed on energy, converted destruction into growth. The blast crater became a new foundation. We built deeper, stronger. That's when the cover-up shifted into high gear. The area was declared a radioactive exclusion zone, 30-mile radius. Guards posted, but the guards were ours. Infected, wearing the right uniforms, speaking the right words, processing new arrivals. Officials came to inspect, senators, generals, scientists, all left with glowing reports, all left infected. The pathogens spread through handshakes, through shared air, through trust in familiar faces. Washington's family came looking for him month 6, his mother, father, teenage sister. The guards told them training accident, honorable sacrifice, gave them a folded flag. They insisted on seeing the body. Now they build beside me, still aware, still crying without tears. The files Park uploaded did reach someone. Month 8, a journalist started asking questions. Brianna Chen from the Washington Post. She'd pieced together patterns, missing soldiers, classified assignments, budget allocations that made no sense. She came to Kansas, tried to get close. The infected guards turned her away, but she was smart, came back at night. Drone footage, thermal imaging. She saw the truth. Thousands of heat signatures, moving in patterns, building. Her story never ran, but she joined us 2 days later. I watched her arrive, watched her eyes go wide as the spores took hold. watched her try to run as her legs betrayed her. Now she documents our growth. Her press credentials get others close. Her voice makes the phone calls. Nothing to see here. False alarm. Misidentified training exercise. Year 1 ended with 23,000 infected. The structures covered 18 square miles. Underground networks connected 6 states. We'd broken into aquifers, water supplies, the spores spreading slow but sure. They tried quarantine, military blockades, but you can't blockade something that's already inside. Senators making policy were ours. Generals giving orders were ours. The response teams were ours. The president was briefed year 1, month 3, told the truth, shown satellite images, given projections. The meeting lasted 4 hours. Every person in that room breathed the same air, shared the same space. 48 hours later, new executive orders, expanded funding for Delta 7, classification raised beyond top secret, a new category created just for us. Priority Alpha, continuity of governance. They weren't trying to stop it anymore. They were managing it, controlling the spread, selecting who joined and when, political enemies, whistleblowers, anyone who asked too many questions. The camera recorded every arrival. Month 14, something changed. The structures started producing something new, not spores, something else. Packages the size of footballs, organic, pulsing. The infected with medical knowledge called them seeds. We loaded them into trucks, drove them to cities, buried them deep. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, Seattle. Every major population center got 3. Military bases got 5. Waiting. Month 16, international visitors started arriving. Chinese officials, Russian generals, British scientists. All came to inspect the facility. All left carrying gift packages, diplomatic pouches, sealed containers. The pathogen was going global. Planned, controlled. A slow-motion conquest using our own hands. I tried to resist. We all did. In the early days, you could feel others fighting. Muscle spasms as we battled for control. But the pathogen learned, adapted, found ways to make resistance hurt. Neural feedback, pain without damage. Eventually, everyone stopped fighting, except for the thinking. That never stopped. Month 18. Now, Phase 3 begins. The seeds activate tomorrow. Not all at once. Rolling deployment. City by city. The infected will emerge from normal lives. Teachers, doctors, police officers, soldiers, all walking to construction sites, all beginning to build. The news will call it mass hysteria. Officials will promise investigations. Response teams will deploy, all according to plan. I'm writing this because they're letting me, because they want documentation, want the world to know resistance is futile. That joining is inevitable. That awareness continues. My helmet camera contains everything, every frame, every horror. Someone will find it, study it, try to understand, but understanding won't help. Rodriguez stands next to me now, still aware behind those mirror eyes, still fighting in the only way left, by remembering. Park designs the new structures. Okoye places charges that will never detonate. Washington carries materials with his broken body. Kalinsky works with one arm, the other hanging useless. All of us thinking, all of us screaming without sound. Tomorrow, the seeds bloom. Within a year, every major city will have structures. Within 5, the transformation completes. Humanity won't die. That would be merciful. We'll build, forever, aware, alone together in the silence. The pathogen doesn't want to kill us. It needs us, our hands, our knowledge, our infrastructure. We're not victims. We're components. I'm uploading this to a secure server. Military encryption. Maybe someone finds it. Maybe they understand. Maybe they run. It won't matter. We're very patient. We have all the time in the world. The structures are calling. My hands want to build, always building, always growing, always aware. If you're reading this, you're already breathing our air, already marked. The spores are everywhere now, in the water, in the soil, in the food chain. When you feel that first twitch, that first movement that isn't yours, remember this, you'll be awake for all of it. Welcome to Delta 7. Population, everyone. Eventually, I found Specialist Hassan's helmet camera in a storage unit outside Fort Leonard Wood, February 27th, 2025, lot number 447. The payment had lapsed. They were auctioning the contents. My name is David Reeves. I investigate missing persons cases for military families, the kind that don't get official attention. Hassan's sister hired me 8 months ago, said her brother vanished on assignment. No body, no answers. Just a letter saying he'd been transferred to classified duties. The camera was in a sealed Pelican case, military grade, the kind that survives anything. Inside, wrapped in plastic, a note. Do not watch alone. Do not watch inside. Copy first. Spread wide. I should have listened. The footage runs 18 months. I've watched it all, frame by frame, verified what I could. The dates match, the personnel records match. Fort Leonard Wood confirms a chemical response team deployed August 15th, 2024. Never returned. Delta 7 exists. Satellite imagery shows structures northwest of Topeka. Homeland Security lists it as a nuclear storage facility. Access restricted. The heat signatures are wrong. Too many. Too organized. I've found 17 similar cases. Soldiers assigned to Delta 7. Families told training accident or transfer. No bodies. No real answers. The pattern goes back 5 years. The spore analysis from Hassan's recording haunts me. An engineered pathogen that preserves consciousness while stealing autonomy. I showed the footage to a microbiologist friend. She went pale, said the protein structures looked familiar, like something from published research, gain-of-function studies. The kind we were doing before the moratoriums, the kind we shared with international partners. 3 days after watching the recording, I noticed my coffee tasted different, metallic. My breathing felt observed, probably paranoia. The footage does that, makes you question every sensation, every involuntary movement. But I checked the dates Hassan mentioned. The seeds activated December 15th, 2024, 2.5 months ago. News reports from that week show spikes in mass behavior events, flash mobs, unexplained gatherings, construction workers abandoning job sites to work on personal projects. All explained away. Mass hysteria, social media influence, copycat behavior. The structures they built were demolished. Unsafe construction, no permits. But satellite imagery shows heat signatures underground at those locations. Still there, still warm. I've sent copies of Hassan's recording to everyone I could think of. Journalists, senators, military oversight committees, anonymous uploads to WikiLeaks. Either it vanishes in hours or gets labeled as an elaborate hoax. Deepfake technology, ARG marketing, creative writing project. Maybe it is fake. Maybe Hassan was a film student with military connections and too much time. The alternative is worse. Because if it's real, we're already lost. The missing soldiers, the classified facilities, the behavior clusters in major cities, the construction projects that make no sense, the government response that seems more like management than prevention. It's all there if you look, hidden in plain sight. I'm leaving this summary with the recording, uploading everything to multiple servers. Dead man switches set. If I stop checking in, it all goes public. Though public might not mean what it used to. My hands feel heavy typing this. My breathing wants to sync with something I can't hear. Probably stress. Probably nothing. But Hassan's words echo. when you feel that first twitch, that first movement that isn't yours. To the families still looking for answers, your loved ones might not be dead. That's not the comfort you think it is. To anyone who finds this after I'm gone, check the dates, map the patterns, follow the construction, and whatever you do, don't go looking for Delta 7. Some questions shouldn't be answered, some doors shouldn't be opened. Some truths cost more than ignorance. But if Hassan's recording is real, if even part of it is real, then ignorance isn't safety. It's just a slower surrender. The camera is still recording somewhere, still documenting, still watching through eyes that used to be human, building towards something we can't stop, because we are what's building it. End of recovered materials. Case remains open. Investigator David Reeves reported missing March 2nd, 2025. Investigation transferred to classified status. No further updates authorized.